Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. It is the second to last week of Lent, the week before Holy Week, and I am sharing a little bit about the Lenten book study that is ongoing in the church. And if you are participating in that Lenten book study, then this will sound familiar to you. But if you're not, I hope that it will still be an opportunity for you to reflect during Lent. This week's fast, in case you don't know, we are studying the book A Different Kind of Fast by Christine Valters Paintner. And we've been invited to fast from multitasking and anxiety and holding it all together. So far, I'm not doing great on fasting from any of those things. But this week, we just chuckled at because the chapter headline title is Fasting from Planning and Deadlines. And so for people who are facing Holy Week and Easter week, it was like, yeah, right, we're not going to do that. But later in the chapter, the author clarifies what she means and writes, this week you are invited to fast from your desire to control the direction of your life. And for me, at least, in some ways that makes it feel more manageable, because right now I don't feel like my life direction is in my control, but that might make it harder for you. I don't know. The scripture text that she shares for this week's fast is from John's Gospel, and it's Jesus referring to himself as the true vine. So I'm going to share that with you and then share some of where my reflection went on that text. So here is the text. Jesus says, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine grower. He removes every branch in me that bears no fruit. Every branch that bears fruit, he prunes to make it bear more fruit. You have already been cleansed by the word that I have spoken to you. Abide in me as I abide in you. Just as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who abide in me and I in them bear much fruit, because apart from me, you can do nothing." Holy wisdom, holy word. And that's from John 15, 1-5. When I first began my reflections on this text, the verses that stuck out to me glaringly were those about you can't do anything unless you're abiding in Jesus, and you can only bear fruit if you're abiding in Jesus. And somehow it felt antithetical to the goal of this week's fast. I felt like I was putting the emphasis on the doing. Okay, so I have to abide in Jesus so I can get all of these things done. And then as I read the text again and breathed a little bit, the line, "Abide in me as I abide in you," is really what came forward for me. And suddenly everything opened up really differently, because it was like, oh, Jesus abiding in us and with us is not conditional. It's not, hey, if you do all these things right and you have your spiritual practices down and you use them to abide in me, then I will abide in you. Jesus is already with us, already abiding with us, present to us, accompanying us. And I think we are able to recognize that we then in turn abide in Jesus by the fruit that's born in our lives, not of everything we do, I already knew that, but by the way we do what we do, and by the way that our lives reflect the fruit of the Spirit, peace and joy and love and patience and kindness and generosity and self-control. And that just gave me a greater level of comfort and enabled me to step back from a kind of sense of freneticness into the peace of what it means to have Christ abiding in me already. And as we continue to think about what it looks like to be community, one of our core values, I think that word abiding is also very important for community. We abide with one another, and we do that whether things are, to our exact liking or not. We abide with one another even when it's difficult, and we work together to bear fruit together and to do our work with the gifts of the Spirit, or exhibiting the gifts of the Spirit. Again, peace and joy and love and patience and kindness and gentleness and generosity and self-control. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. That kind of shift was really important for me this week, and maybe that helps you too as you try to live in this crazy, frenetic world that we inhabit and cannot change, but we can change how we receive it and how we live in it. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.